At the beginning of the film, we see a jungle, where like every day the animals in it were spending their time happily. But then suddenly they see an explosion at a distance, and from there an evil koala was moving towards the jungle, whose name was Igor. As soon as he comes there, he starts blowing up everywhere with his mushroom explosive. But there was also a team of brave heroes behind him, whose mere job was to keep peace in the jungle. The teams included Ricky the porcupine, Tony the sloth, Natasha the tigress, and Goliath the rhino. They all together try their best to fail Igor's plan and save the animals in trouble. But in the meantime, Igor escapes from them with the help of his ship. But then he bumps into a snow and an egg falls on him, because of which he comes to the shore. So he tries to get the egg's support to escape from them. Then a bird comes and snatches the egg from him. Tony aims at the egg, which gets stuck in a tree. After that, they leave Igor in an isolated place where there was only water far and wide. But then Igor reveals his plan to Natasha. Actually, during the time Igor was in the jungle, he had spread his explosives everywhere, because of which there's an explosion in the jungle. Seeing this, Natasha leaves Igor there and goes back to the jungle, where the whole jungle was on fire because of the explosives. But Natasha's companions safely save all the animals. Meanwhile, when Ricky was taking out some baby animals from the fire, he sees that same egg on the tree. He finally gets succeed in rescuing those babies and that egg, with great difficulty, but during that time he gets killed in the flames of that fire. At the same time, Igor gets an idea to get out of that island. There he plants a seed in the ground, so that even after a long time he would be able to make a raft from the plant grown from it, and through which later on he would reach the shore. On the other side, the whole forest was destroyed by the fire, and Ricky's friends are saddened by his sacrifice. Then suddenly a baby penguin comes out of that egg which Ricky had rescued. Natasha starts raising him like her child, and names him Maurice. With time, Maurice grows up, and now he had painted strips on himself just like his mother. Meanwhile, the planted tree by Igor also grows over time. One day, Maurice decides that he will also become a hero like his mother. But Natasha did not want to put his life in danger, so she denies his decision. But Maurice's decision was resolute. That's why there is a debate between them, at the end of which Maurice says goodbye to everyone and goes on his journey to become a hero. Now, after a long time, he had also recruited some members in his team. Among them were Miguel, Gilbert, Patricia, and one of his pet, Junior. And today, they had come on a mission to free some elephants from Baboon's group. Because Baboon used to make those elephants work like slaves. They all make a plan together, in which Maurice leads them. And finally, he defeats those baboons and teaches them a hard lesson. And thus they are successful in their mission. On the other hand, many months later, Igor makes a raft from that grown tree and reaches the shore, where his companion crab Suri was also with him. Here in the jungle, Maurice and his teammates meet their old companions, Al and Bob. Suddenly there, Morris sees fire at a distance, which was actually Igor's plan, so that he can take revenge from Natasha and her companions. But Maurice and his companions reach there on time from the flying carrier and extinguish the fire. Igor gets very disappointed to see them in front of him, because he had come to take revenge from Natasha and her companions. But when he finds out that Maurice considers Natasha as his mother, he corners Maurice along with his friends with the help of the trap, which he had originally planned to entrap Natasha and her companions. He entraps them in his trap and activates an explosive nearby and leaves them to die. But after that, Al and Bob come there, and they finally manage to escape from that explosion. After that, Maurice goes to meet his mom, so that he can tell her about Igor's return. On the other side of the forest, Igor sees Baboon Army, who was worried about Maurice protecting this village. They knew that as long as Maurice is here to protect the forest, they can't force any other animal for their slavery. Knowing this, Igor decides to manipulate the Baboon Army in order to make them fight against Maurice and Natasha's team. On the other hand, Maurice goes to Natasha and her team with his friends, where his mom gets very happy to see him after a long time. There, Maurice tells them about that psycho who came to take revenge from them. Maurice asks her about Igor's story. Then Natasha tells him that he is a psycho koala who came to join our team a long time ago, but he was not worthy of joining our team. So we refused to let him join the team, but after months of research, he made a lot of explosive mushrooms. so that we can take him in our team with this idea. But still we rejected his offer. After this, he got very offended and became a psycho in the fire of revenge. And since then, he wants to destroy this jungle. That's why Natasha and her friends are ready to face him. On the other hand, we see Igor, who had now included those baboon army in his gang. He explains them that this cave is an underground rift, which is spread all over the jungle. His plan was to blast his explosive in the center of the rift, so that the whole jungle would be destroyed forever, and all the animals present in it would be killed. After this, he starts his work. But along with this, Igor also wanted to take revenge from Natasha and her companions. On the other hand, all the animals of the jungle were afraid due to Igor's return. Then Natasha and her team accompany them. After a while, Maurice also comes there with his companions, who wanted to face Igor along with Natasha and the rest. But Natasha didn't want to put his life in danger. That's why she tells them to stay away from all this. Then all of a sudden they hear the sound of an explosion, hearing which they all go that way. But to keep Maurice and his companions away from all this, Goliath breaks the bridge that goes to the other side, which makes Maurice and his team unable to accompany them. On the other hand, Igor was sitting and waiting for them. Then Natasha and the rest of them come there, but Igor had already planned everything. He gets out from there with his jetpack and starts attacking them with his mushroom foam. But using the same method, Tony tricks and imprisons him in the foam. After that, every member starts their action. Goliath starts to open the entrance, and Tony faces those baboons. Everything was going fine, but Maurice thinks that his mom might be in danger, so he takes the support of a tree and reaches them. But as he was about to fall from there, Tony catches him. But as soon as his hand was about to slip from there, Patricia comes there, and in this way everyone starts saving each other and get engaged in all this. In the meantime, taking advantage of this, Surimi throws a mushroom explosive at them. With that, they all fall down in the canyon from there. After this, with the help of Surimi, Igor gets freed from captivity, and he takes Maurice's pet Junior with him. Then the rest of the Maurice friends come there. But everyone was very angry at Maurice for his stupidity, because if he hadn't come there, Igor would have been caught by now. Maurice realizes his mistake. After this, Natasha and her friends go to follow Igor, and this time, Maurice decides not to go with them. By giving up, he leaves from there. Without his friends, his strips get washed away in the rain. On the other hand, Natasha and her companions follow Igor and reach to his cave. But they didn't know about Igor's moves and get trapped in the cage. Igor had the key of that cage, but he leaves them there and goes to work on his plan to destroy the jungle, for which he needed a lot of slaves. On the other hand, Maurice was completely disappointed with his work and gives up. He was missing his mate Junior and starts to remember the first day he met him. On the other hand, according to Igor's plan, he needed a lot of mushroom explosives to completely destroy the jungle. And to harvest them, he has enslaved the animals of the jungle, and his baboon army was guarding them. Meanwhile, Junior gets an idea, and he cleverly jumps from one tub to another and gets out of there. And through the water, he finally reaches to Maurice. Maurice gets very happy to see him. There he learns from Junior that Igor has imprisoned his mom and her friends. After hearing this, Maurice decides to free them from the captivity of Igor, and draws his tiger strips on himself again. Here Maurice's friends were sad to see him go. But after seeing him back, everyone gets the courage again, and they all arrive at Igor's cave in the guise of baboons, where Igor's baboons were guarding the entrance. But as Maurice and his companions were in the guise of baboons, they couldn't recognize them, and they all go inside the cave very easily. There Igor's mushroom explosives were finally harvested, but before destroying the forest completely, he decides to take a nap. Here Maurice and the rest of them go to the hidden cave, but without the key to the gate, they could not free Natasha and her companions from the cage. So they together make a plan and somehow take the imprint of the key to the cage. But in the meantime, Surimi sees them doing this, and she tries to tell Igor, but as Igor was sleeping, he didn't pay attention. But Surimi doesn't give up and follows them. Meanwhile, Patricia and Gilbert give the news of their arrival to everyone through the mic, which arouses new hope in all the animals. But as soon as Igor gets to know about their arrival, he sends his baboon army to catch them. But Patricia and Gilbert attack all the baboons one by one, due to which none of them could reach them. Taking advantage of that moment, Patricia confesses her love to Gilbert and tells him that she has liked him for a long time. Gilbert also feels very good to hear this, and he accepts Patricia's proposal. Here Maurice finally prepares the key to the cage with that imprint. But as soon as he was about to open the cage's gate, Surimi also comes there, and she snatches the key from him and runs away. Bob and Al follow her, and after a great altercation, in the end, they take the key from her and take it to Morris, after which finally Natasha and the rest come out of the cage. Natasha prouds them for the work of Maurice and his companions. Then the baboon army comes to attack them, but Natasha and her team face them very easily. But after seeing this, Igor starts the chain reaction of the mushroom explosives to destroy the jungle. If it would reach the center of the rift, no one could stop the forest from being destroyed. The explosion begins to cause an earthquake in the forest. Then Maurice, Natasha, and the rest of all work together, where Natasha and her team go to rescue those captive animals, and Maurice and his companions go to stop the chain reaction. They follow the chain reaction through the bridge. It wasn't easy for them to stop this massive explosion, but then they get an idea. They plan if we would somehow separate a mushroom explosive from the chain, then this chain reaction may stop. They all do the same, and by doing this they stop the explosion before it could reach the center of the rift. It saves the forest along with everyone else. Then Igor comes there, who tells them that if not this time, he will definitely take his revenge next time. But Morris sends Junior towards him, who creates a malfunction in his jetpack, due to which Igor falls very far from there. Now Natasha had also known Morris's potential, and all the animals happily start living in the jungle. And with this, the movie comes to an end.